Welcome to FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Dr. Tim, and this is my wonderful co-host,
PG Ty. Welcome, everyone.
So, we're having some technical problems. I just got a bunch of alerts that a lot of our stuff on Facebook is not going through. So, I'm trying to figure out if there's something we can do. It's on FMA Talk. It's not on the others. So, hey, Mr. Hiltz, let me see what I can do real quick here. Hold on. Uno momento. Por favor. Let me see here. FMA. Of course, we have technical difficulties. You gotta love that.
Of course, yep.
We'll go to this. That. See if I can share this. Everything seems to be shutting down. It is not. It is not anywhere. Mr. Hiltz, where are you watching us from? Oh, he's watching YouTube.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut down the show. And I'm going to reboot it because now they're saying nothing is happening on Facebook whatsoever. And actually, the notification told me that it was a Facebook only problem. So I'm going to shut this down and start right back up.
Right.
Or maybe I shouldn't.
I don't know.
Let me remove. All right, save changes. Let's see if I can bring it back up. This is perplexing.
Did you do any updates or anything? Sometimes that happens.
This all came through saying it's all a Facebook thing.
Yeah, I don't see anything on Facebook as well.
So let me see what I could do. See if I fixed it here. Okay. It is on Facebook. It is on. Okay. All right. So hold on. All right. Edit.
There we are.
Okay.
It is on. Okay.
There we go.
What I might have to do. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is share this to a page. I'm going to share it to .2 page. Yep, it's on Facebook now, right? Well, hold on.
Yep.
And
I see the other comments too. Okay, good.
Well, so there's a new Sam. What's the best online resource for learning modern Arnis? My website. I'll get it in a minute. So we're having issues with Facebook. I'm going to be muting my laptop here. Show us all the card trick while I get this thing going.
I don't got no card tricks.
Let me see if I can edit. I'll take this off. Remove. All right, I'll take this. Let me see which is another one that's not working. I got the knucklehead. Oh, you're killing me, dog. You're killing me. I don't want to mess with our YouTube because who knows if we shut this down, it might end the YouTube feed. So, there we go. Remove. Okay. And I've removed this. Remove. Okay. Let's save. Save settings. So it's on my personal. And it's on It's being forwarded over. I love you, dog. Oh,
okay.
All right, I'm going to try one more thing here. All right, edit. I'm going to try this, and that. Save changes. Come here, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, you're my good boy. Oh. It looks like we fixed it.
Okay.
Let me see here. All right. Hopefully, everyone. Hey there. FMA Discussion says hello. Got to be Dean.
Right.
Let me check something out. Okay, that's working. All right. So we're having technical difficulty. Facebook is not playing well with this. Our thing being our show. And it is still not playing well with others.
All right. Let me see.
Go to my profile. I'm going to try something else here. I want to get on one of the Facebook page. Do you? Try something else here. Let's see here.
All right. Looks like it's playing now.
What are you looking on?
Facebook.
What are you looking on? Like what page?
The video. The 852, whatever it is, 316.
And it's all broken here. Okay. Remove. All right. Doesn't like certain things. Remove. Is it on the YouTube, or is it on the one of the
It was on the, Tim going live, and then I just clicked on that, and it seems to be there.
Okay, yeah, but it's I'm trying to see if it's on the FMA Talk stuff. That's why I'm trying to get it on there.
I see.
So let me see if I can share this to FMA Talk.
Yeah, I wonder why I did that. Who knows? Probably Zuckerberg.
Okay, I'm sharing it to one of the FMA Talks. What? And then I'm going to share this to. Close that window down. I'll share it to you. Oh, that's you, bud. My lovely four-legged assistant hurt himself in there.
No.
Reload.
He's trying to help.
Yeah, so technical difficulty. Done. Share. Okay, we should be good on enough of these. I'm going to shut my other window down. I'll shut that. Okay. All right. Whew, that was crazy.
That was weird.
I got one more window I got to look at and see if it is.
All right. I think.
Yep. Okay. I got enough of them.
Okay. All right.
All right, everybody. If you're not watching this, all right. If you're trying to watch this and you're having issues,
All right, everybody.
Is it you?
There we go. Fixed it.
Okay. If you're watching this live, I got 10 people watching. If you're on the Facebook platform, go check it out on my personal one. That should be where you'd be able, my Tim Hartman, that you should be able to comment there. Holy cow, what a crazy debacle.
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right. Good. So right after, good evening from Mr. Hiltz. He said reset. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Wolf says hello. Sam. Online resource for Modern Arnis. I'm gonna pull one up right here for now. Now, if you look at our YouTube channels, PG Ties and myself, there's a lot of good stuff out there. That being said, I am partial. If you're looking for, we have the Modern Arnis University, MAU.
Yep.
It is a. You come in here. Oh, I'm dying here. Oh, my arm's killing me. I'm probably gonna have surgery, guys. Left arm is just all jacked up from the car accident. So, take this. Let's see. Go to this. Oh no, went to the wrong thing. I'll go back to here. Usually, we're much more organized, but we usually don't have this kind of nonsense going down.
Yep.
I just lost that. On demand. Okay, here we go. So here is a link for a couple of my stuff. My Vimeo page. It actually opens up. There's three. There is three video library. Well, one's the Stig Blintwalk seminars, just one off. Oh, now we're having a YouTube channel issue. Please connect. Okay. Jesus. I shut this window down. Hopefully that's not interfering. All right, I want to refresh on my side.
Hang in there, folks. We'll get started. We're still not that late.
And I'm back.
Okay.
All right, hopefully everyone just give a holler real quick again if you can hear us. Mr. Wolf, Sam says, yep, okay. FMA discussion, hey there. Brock says it's on FMA Talk, but which FMA Talk is that? Hello from Portland, and then I posted a couple things out there for online resources. I don't want to open up any other windows on my side, just in case I'm having a connection issue. Okay, we've got 12 people watching. It's less than normal because of probably all the stuff that's going on. I'm not sure if it'll actually register if they're coming from other things. So, okay, so crazy stuff going on. I got my four-legged friend over here. Okay, so we did part 2 of our Panantukan release, which went very well.
Yep.
Okay, I'll let you take point. I got to deal with the nonsense here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's make sure Sam's happy, who asked about the online resources. So like Tim said, search on both of our names on YouTube and those Vimeo things. There's also, as part of that, the Modern Arnis University. So there's a bunch of options there. And if you keep an eye on the WMA main site, or also the Facebook instantiation or the group, there are periodic hybrid or online seminars. We just got done, as he said, doing one just this last Saturday. So I think that went really well. That's the second installment of the Panantukan version 2 series. So that's plenty to get started with for sure. And also just drop an email, right? We're both pretty accessible, which is good, I think.
We talked about the YouTube channels.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Man, what is going on? But just taking a peek of something here. All right, good. It is popping up. We might not be able to get the views because we're sharing to other pages, so it may not be accurate on that. And Frank showed up. And Frank's saying hello from Facebook, which makes me feel happy. Hey, Frank.
Nice.
Whew. Okay, let's get into this. Next week, Monday, literally, is the 22nd anniversary of our teacher, Remy Amador Presas' passing. So, for those who Remy's life was of a martial art gypsy. And a lot of people don't understand the scale. And we talk about things all the time. And I don't think people scale is important, the size of things. And a lot of people don't, they think they know things, but they don't understand the relevance of the numbers and stuff. Remy was a beast that would do like 60 seminars a year. And sometimes he'd go to 3 locations in one weekend, and those locations may not have been in the same state. He'd come in on a Friday to Buffalo when I first started, do a Saturday seminar. And, well, when I first started, he stayed for weeks at a time. But when he started getting popular, and I started hosting him myself, we would fly him in he'd fly in on a Friday, do a Saturday seminar, Sunday morning fly to Connecticut and do another seminar. I went down to Philadelphia, drove down to Mount Airy, Maryland one day, went back to Philadelphia, drove up to Vineland, New Jersey the next day. Professor was teaching in both locations. Yep. So, I mean, he was this beast. Now, a lot of times, he didn't have the opportunity to sit down and hang out with people,
right?
You know, and next week we're going to talk about how he was as a person, not the martial artist, but the person, you know. And I got to say, after going to the Philippines as often as we have, it's definitely made me understand things better, because there's some cultural things that I just didn't get certain things, and it comes from a cultural point of view. And I didn't have access to these resources that I do today back then. Had I think our bond would have been a lot more than it was. You know, which you know, I'm very pleased with what kind of relationship I had with him, but I think it probably would have been deeper, and it would have been easier to go talk to him about things. And we're going to talk a little about that next week. So, did the people in England at least speak English? Pip, pip, cheerio, and all that rot. The seminar in England was amazing. I missed being here, but well, it looks like I'm going to go because of it. I think I'm going to be teaching in Holland now.
Nice.
So I got 2 new countries that are probably going to visit on the next tour: Holland and Jersey Island, which is south of England. Mm-hmm. They got their own money, so if they got their own money, they're their own country. So if that happens next year, that bumps me up to 20 countries. So I'll be very pleased. My goal is, before I turn 60, I want to teach in 25 countries. Although I've taught at 28 states so far, and you know, it's actually kind of the size of most of the countries I've taught in. So, Errol says hello, love you, man, all the way down to New York City. Mr. Mason from way up north, we got to hang out together this weekend. And of course, he forgot something. Wooden shoes, Hartman. Yes, I would have wooden. I will have my own personal flotation devices for all the dikes that are over there. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep saying New York, Jersey. You know, to us, it's all the same. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to put you in the group of those New Yorkers. Just like in New York, if you're downstate, they think everything else is upstate, and it's not. It's upstate is Albany, Syracuse is central New York, and then Western New York is where Buffalo is. So, and the Falls. Errol thinks that funny.
Hey, Jeff.
And Jeff Owens. There we go. So, now that we've recovered and got things going, because we had technical difficulties all over the place, it's all, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I'm not that kind of New Yorker, but hey, bada boom, bada bing. I used to watch The Sopranos. New York City record stop. Okay. So I did a post this morning. You might want to look at it. You might not. And the post was, why am I the most hated man in modern Arnis or Filipino martial arts? And I actually went through and it talked about, well, not really. And here's the reasons why. But it came up on our show. Someone actually asked me on this. So unfortunately, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that when there's controversy, they run away from it. They don't deal with it, especially when they're in a role that requires them to deal with stuff. So if you're a leader, if you're like, okay, in a martial arts system, if you're, say, a master or a grandmaster, I would say, hey, part of your job is dealing with this nonsense. We don't want to be an ostrich and hide our head in the sand. So I'm not afraid of it. I don't run to controversy, but I embrace the need to deal with controversy. So when someone said this, I actually wrote a thing about it. I think I articulated it very well. And one of the things I said is, if I'm so hated, how come I'm doing so many seminars, repeat seminars, and look at the cadre of people that I've taught with regularly and continually, people like Bobby Tabuada, Michael Harone, Max Palin, Jason and I, Jack Latour, Renee Tungson, Rodel DeGuck, and others. If I was such a bad person and hated, these people would not let me teach with them. They might have me have them in for a seminar because they might say, I'll just take the money whether I like the guy or not. But why would they teach on a bill with me if that was the case? So that's what we talked about. So I got a call today, and it put things in perspective. And Dexter, well, first of all, Tim Dobson, how you doing, brother man from England? I love you. Mr. Parsons, always, we love hearing from you. Yep. And so Dexter. Okay, is that it? Is that everything past the Bronx? Because I'm saying, keep spreading the art. Thank you. And then preach it, Datu. I got a cold today. Did you Mountain extended warranty? As I said, okay, there we go. And Renee.
All right, see, this gave everybody time to show up. This works out good.
There we go. Okay, good. Yeah, so we had all the technical stuff. So here's the deal. Here's my little rant, my mini rant. So when I said all that stuff, and then someone called me up. Sifu Alex called me today. You know Sifu Alex, who does,
Yep.
yeah.
We'll see him next month.
Long time student of, actually, no, it's the month after. Janice corrected me today on that.
Okay.
So like, well.
It's some number of months. How's that?
There we go. To me, it's, yeah, I said the exact same thing. But, he made a comment to me, and it really resonated with me. And I think one of the things that when we talk about things and why I'm so passionate with, and I hold others to, first of all, I'm held to a high level of accountability when I say and do things. So I hold others to that same level of accountability. So if you're going to say something about me, about, well, you said this, remember, it's going to go, what goes around comes around. Simple as this, okay? But one of the things that Sifu Alex said, he goes, Tim, this is your life. And I'm like, holy cow. And it just dawned on me. And we were talking about numbers and time and scale this weekend during the Pontotoc weekend.
Yep.
And one of the things we came up with was, well, first of all, I've said this before, and I don't like saying it a lot because I don't want the, oh, woe is me. I'm looking for sympathy. I'm just like, hey, guys, you don't like it, shove it. But let me get into this just a tad, and then we'll do the show. I made this my life since I was 19 years old. Not part of my life. It is the heart of what my life is. This has been my career since 86. I made sacrifices. And let me just throw something out there. I chose this path, which did not give me the opportunity to have children. I could have had children, but I would not bring children into an environment that I could not give them a level of comfort. I want to provide properly for my kids. Now, if I had ever got someone pregnant out there, I would do the right thing. I would be a supportive father. I would make sure that the kids were okay, probably with their, with the other side's family. But I could not support kids, which is why I didn't go down that path. And I look at all my classmates, and I hear all the time, oh, well, I made sacrifices. No, you still had your job. Your job was a police officer, a correctional officer, a video editor. Oh, maybe some of them are actually karate school guys. This is what I've done. They all have their kids. I sacrifice that. This is what I do as a thing. And when we talked about scale, I doubt very much anyone would be able to match the time and effort and the things that I've done. Same thing when we talk about seminars. I've had people make comments of, well, I do a seminar. I do seminars, plural. Really? How many do you do? And it turns out what they do, what I do in a year of seminars takes them a decade to even come close to that number. Well, I do seminars 1 to 3 a year. 1 to 3 a year. That's good for you. I'm doing 30 plus seminars a year, and I'm not trying to make this as a dick measuring competition, because that's not what I'm trying to say. But I get a little passionate about this, especially, you know, I try to give respect about things, but when I'm constantly getting dinged about things like this, my filter is full and I'm done with it. So there's my rant. Ty, I'm going to have you read some stuff as I pull it up right now, because
Sure.
I'm a little wound up. We got this. Let me see. So hi. Okay. So he said hi to Hiltz.
Nice.
Here we go. What's that one?
Bon Jovi is my life. I'm not going to live forever. It's now or never. It's my life.
Okay, here we go. My arm is killing me.
He's serenading us. Okay, Rocky goes. Remy, he was a machine when it came to flying. He once flew to Detroit on Friday. We did a Friday night seminar. Saturday morning, drove to Flint, back to Detroit for a Saturday evening seminar. Then another seminar in Detroit Sunday morning. Then we were in Newark on Monday at like 2 a.m. Did a testing and a small seminar Monday night, Tuesday. We were in the AM. We were in California, back to Ohio midweek. Yeah, that was Remy. He was 18, falling asleep and exhausted. Probably couldn't keep up with Remy, I'm guessing. Get ice cream. Yeah, he just wasn't right. No, we did somewhat of that even in Texas, right? We crashed a seminar Friday night with Hawk, drove down to the middle of Texas, which is, you know, if you're talking about Dallas, go to the middle of Texas, that's a big drive itself.
Oh my God. You can drive in Texas for 8 hours and still be nowhere near the border.
10 or 12 hours. Yep. Came down to the middle of Texas. He did an all day long seminar. And then we drive down to Houston to do some more training. Yeah, he was crazy. Yeah. In a good way. I mean, that's how he got out there and connected with so many people.
And thanks, Eric. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I don't know if I would be a good dad. What I would say is this: my kids would be able to take care of themselves. And if I had kids, I would make them do martial arts. I would say, you need to be 18 and a black belt. And this is what you have to do. And after that, if you never want to do martial arts again, I don't care. You're going to learn the family trade. That way you have something to protect yourself. And if you need a job, you have something to back yourself up on. But if they want to be musicians or theater or mechanics, I'd support that. But they'd have to do this first. And then he goes, damn straight. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really having issues with my arm today. Well, Ty saw this weekend. It's my left arm. The car accident really did a number. My knee is getting better, but I might have a torn meniscus there, and we'll see about the rotator cuff.
Wow.
There's from Dexter.
Yep. Dexter goes, facts are facts. Too. When you're playing in the majors, a different world than us hobbyists. I mean,
hey, we need everybody though. I mean, see, that's the other thing.
Right.
The thing people think I'm like, well, you know, you're not taking, you know, you're taking things for granted. No, everybody. We need everybody, even if you're only doing one a year. Yep. But don't come off like you're the expert.
It's a perspective.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm sorry. I do have children. They're 4-legged.
There you go. Yep.
I do what I can. It's a little different.
They're not learning the family trade the same way.
Earlier. What's that one there?
Sanford and Son. If Datu holds his arm hard and says, "I am coming, Elizabeth," it's a big one. We're in trouble. Right.
Okay. So that's my little rant for the day. And I wasn't even going to go there but the technical difficulty got me over. So listen, for those who, okay, we got fans out there, and then we have those fans out there. So, yeah, fur babies definitely count. So for those fans out there who do not watch the show, but read the transcripts to try to catch me in something, let me tell you something right now. If you're going to read the transcript, make sure if you hear something or read something you don't like, go to that part of the video and play it. Because unfortunately, or maybe that's what you want, the written word doesn't talk about the voice inflection. It doesn't put things in the proper perspective. A lot of times people can isolate one sentence out of a paragraph or even a whole page to make it, to spin it, to make it for their benefit. Or, so at the end of the day, like, I don't like the written word. And like, I go to tournaments, a lot of times people are focusing on the written word. I'm like, what's the spirit of the written word? We talk about stepping out of bounds. Oh, he stepped out of bounds, give him a penalty. No, the whole idea of the stepping out of bounds is to keep them in from fighting as opposed to trying to run away from it. So people fight out of the ring. Okay. People go running out of the ring to avoid contact. Well, that's a whole nother story. So there's definitely a spirit of what words, when someone writes something, there's a spirit of the words. What was it meant for? So, if you're reading this versus watching this, and you're not going to watch the show, then don't comment on what's written, because most likely it may have been, or you're choosing to take it out of context. And I got an amen. Amen, brother. Amen from, can you imagine him as Father? I mean, he's a dad, but can you imagine as Father Rene?
Father Rene, there you go.
Oh, Dominic's Paches, no.
Then it would be bonk, bonk.
Right. Yeah, you smack him upside the head. Okay, context matters, and then I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay, all right. Okay. So, oh my God, this guy's killing me. This guy is killing me. All right. So today's topic is Modern Arnis, the martial system. But Ty was going to take point on at least the first part about the divisions and what we're coming from and talking about. Oh,
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah,
really,
so
I hate my arm.
I'll jump in and set it up, and then you can take your take. You should do your take as well. But I wanted to remind people, look, everybody that's doing a Modern Arnis, whether it's pieces in the middle of a system or art within your art, and you got treating it that way, or standalone from the get-go, and you're teaching people that are never had anything, and they're getting all of the deal and everything that Remy did. All of that is a great spectrum. Everybody in that is doing Modern Arnis, and I wanted to stress that. And that's one of the reasons I went around and supported everybody doing stuff. There are in that construct, there's a lot of room for flavors and influences and evolutions and that kind of good stuff. So it's all based on Modern Arnis, and I think that's a good thing to remind people that that's what I'm thinking. And like I said, Tim will jump in here after I'm done. But look, it's all Modern Arnis, and it's all good, and I'm glad it's out there. Like anybody doing, like, say, spaghetti, right? Everybody likes different types of spaghetti, but at some point we have recognized that, hey, that's all spaghetti. Where do you fall on, does it have meat in it or whatever? It's important to recognize that contribution from Remy's gift to all of us does take all of us, and it does take all of us at whatever interest level you want to do. Please keep doing that and more, but you should be able to pick your own adventure, if you will, in the terms of how much you're going to go down that rabbit hole. And I think that's a good thing. So when I say something, hey, I prefer this, or I like this, or I like this approach, that is an opinion based on my taste for the spaghetti, if that makes sense. But no, I love that there's so many people out there doing modern of any sort. And I'm happy to play with all of them, happy to see all of them, happy to support all of them. And happy to learn too, because we all got different pieces of the puzzle, because nobody has all of it. Nobody owns it. So anyway, that's all. It's not really a rant, but it's a reminder, because I want people to not get twisted because of interpretations of maybe, I've heard lots of people say lots of weird things as if things were said much more objectively. And look, all Modern Arnis. And then how do you feel about the pieces? And please, everybody keep doing it. I mean, there's good in there, and there's preferences. It's all okay. So I'm just trying to make sure people don't get all crazy about stuff. Hey, Joe.
Okay. So Renee is actually an ordained minister.
It's me too.
Pastor. That's crazy. What's the world coming to?
Reverend
Terrell Richardson says hello.
Hey, Terrell.
And Eric. Yep, we're all Modern family. Joe Rebello. Hey, buddy. Did you get the Kempo thing I sent you? Uh-huh. And then as far as Pastor Finn, I am always Pastafarian. I'm always enjoyed Modern Kali. Okay.
Well, actually, I had one last thing, if you don't mind, if I jump on the thing
Please,
there.
please.
So-
I'm actually hoping you're going to say something before me.
Okay. so what I wanted to talk about, just the branding, right? So one of the things that had been limited in the past was that, hey, why is a lot of things, or it's not obvious who's doing what, or maybe as far as Modern Arnis goes, right? So the brand is out there. Everybody that's doing a little bit of Modern Arnis, whether it's in some stick work in a karate program, but they at least acknowledge that's good for Modern Arnis. It's good for the students. Whether it's Art with the Art, where it's programs all the way up to the spectrum to a standalone school, right? That's full-time committed to that. They have a whole spectrum of that. And that is good. That is good for the branding. And I wish more people would emphasize those roots for modern for the pieces they are doing. But in any case, it's all modern. So please remember that, and please rejoice in that. And please remember that we all love that art. So that's it.
Okay. So when we realized that conservatively, there are at least 5 generations of Presas black belts who never met Remy.
Wow.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe 5. That might be a little steep. But definitely there's generations of Modern Arnis black belts who haven't met Remy.
Well, there's
And the room is
at least
I
2 in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And
So
maybe 2 over here.
Yeah, a generation is generally 20 years if you go by that thing. But I mean, martial arts, I think we have dog years going, so it's a whole nother story.
Right.
Reverse dog years. Okay, so here's the thing that I wanted to talk about. We're very passionate about this, and I don't necessarily think, at least 3. Okay, all right. Well, 2.5. No, that's a negotiation. Pie. There you go. Listen, as I talked about, I'm very passionate about this, and sometimes I don't have the best words to articulate. I came up with some terminology because people misconstrued. Like, I'm going to give you one right now. I've coined the phrase RPCs, Remy Presas Certified. A Remy Presas Certified black belt is a person that tested for Remy, and he gave the seal of approval and gave him the diploma. That doesn't necessarily mean he was their teacher. So I produced 30 black belts who passed his test and got his seal of approval. Not only were they 30 black belts, they're also up to 3rd degree black belts. Black, then 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree black belts, So I didn't, but the thing was, and I had someone, well, they're Remy black belts. I'm like, they're Remy certified. And we were at an event where Ty was there, and it got real hostile talking to somebody. And I'm like, they were Remy black belts. I go, maybe by the definition that was a Remy certified black belt, but we couldn't figure out the way to communicate. And I was getting frustrated. He was getting frustrated. And I'm like, dude, they're my students. They passed Remy's test.
Right.
But, and I want to say they passed Remy's test. They passed a test with Remy on the board. He signed. So that's why I created the term RPC, Remy Presas Certified Black Belts, a person who tested in front of Remy and got the IMAF seal of approval from Remy Presas. Because at the time, while he was alive, the only way to be a black belt in Modern Arnis was this test in front of him.
Yeah, I think maybe some of the difficulty, if you didn't have a standalone committed program, or even just a sub program where you're having in-class students regularly, then it would be hard to imagine that you produce students. But I mean, I produced 3 as well that tested and got Remy certified black belts. They were my students. If you ask them, they will tell you that, even though they went to some of the camps. But they did most of their training, almost all of it in one case. One case, it was almost all of it with me. They went to one camp after they had earned multiple colored ranks, in-house ranks, and earned their way up. But I mean, so if you didn't have that in mind when you think about it, I think, yes, you would focus on the Reminess. But
right. And no, I don't. I know on our behalf, I wasn't trying to be aggressive, but the thing was, I was the one that did the work, and I'm proud of the black belts that I've produced over the years.
Yep.
Remy didn't produce those black belts. Tim Hartman did.
Right.
So that was the point I was trying to make. And now, since I have a term, if that conversation would have happened tomorrow, it would have never went down that way, unless the guy's being a jerk, because there was no reason for it to go down the way it would have. So
would have been easier. Yeah.
So for today, before we start the thread on what is Modern Arnis, and this is what I thought you were going to start with, were the two basic schools of training. So we talked about this before, and this is actually part 2, because we talked about what is the art within your art.
Right.
Okay. So, and remember, in the Philippines, so let's talk about real quick for those who didn't watch last week's show. In the Philippines, it was called Modern Arnis. This was an alternative to training karate or judo, because that's what the popular arts were in the Philippines after World War II. You say, why the heck after the invasion of would a Japanese martial art be in charge or be more popular? Because they're beating the crap out of each other with sticks and they couldn't work. It was a safer alternative to getting beat up. So then they went back. Remy modernized the training program, and it became and that's why it's called Modernist, a modern approach to a traditional art. And then in the 80s, early 80s.
Well, wait a second. I mean, so when he did that, right? That will make the point. That was a whole system.
A standalone art.
It wasn't inside any other art. It was a whole system, and it's from the get-go.
From the get-go, it was an alternative to doing karate. Okay. Now, come to the States. About 1981, an article comes out there that says, Arnis, an art within your art. Now, Remy didn't come up with that. That's what a writer comes up with. And Remy said, that's a good sales pitch. And so he went with it. So he taught that methodology, but the methodology wasn't, he still taught the art. It just, the art within your art was more about a testing thing. And it became a martial buffet where somebody who did karate, Taekwondo, Kung Fu, could take part of Modern Arnis and put it in their system to enhance it. And the key phrase of that is part.
It could be in what they're doing.
It's in what they're doing. Now, then there was a handful of us who did the Modern Arnis martial system. And that was the heart of what we were doing. It was, you know, I mean, and even like Ty, he did Kung Fu, but he said, nope, I'm going to train Modern Arnis as itself. When I learned my Balintawak, I learned it by itself. When I did my Kuntao and my Sikran, I learned it. Now, of course, with the years of experience I had in martial arts, it fast-tracked me. There's no questions about that. And there's a little DNA kind of go in there. Yes, I will tell people when it comes to my Kuntao and Sikran, my belt does not represent how experienced I am in the martial arts in that system. But if you want to see the physical expression, the best of physical expression, I would say look at my classmates before you look at me, because they're a more honest representation of that art. Okay, let's get caught up here, and then I'm going to go with the next thing. So, can you get that here?
I'm one of those generations that never met Professor Eric. And then he says, as far as the RPCs, at the end of the day, the point is they're black belts in Modern Arnis helping spread the art. Absolutely. One of my guys has 10 black belts of his own.
And there's Darren. And then we got, this is Chris Davison, promoting his Kaju brand customs.
Nice. Hey, Darren. Hey, David.
Tony!
Hey.
We're going to see each other this week. I'm assuming that you're going to be at the tournament this weekend. So Datu's tribe is going out to compete again. So
Nice.
So listen, here's the deal. So the two school of thoughts in Modern Arnis is the art within your art. So Modern Arnis is part of what you do. Mm-hmm. And then today we're going to talk about the martial system, which is a standalone program. And here's why it's different. It's important to discern. They're both part of the same family. But over here on the art within your art side, the Thai side, well, actually, I'm trying to get my hands right here. On the art within your art side, you may have only decided to do disarms or the police, or, you know, a certain family of material. Mm-hmm. And let's say you blend it. Say, I'm going to blend, I don't know, the modern that Remy taught me with my capoeira. Mm-hmm. So I've got some cool capoeira stuff going in there. And a student says, hey, is that what Remy did? And we need to say, no, this is the art that Remy taught. No, this is not the art Remy taught. Mm-hmm. This is an example of how you could take parts of Remy's art, blend it with capoeira, and come up with something cool. Mm-hmm. How we can take, look at those judo throws. Remy could do judo. Yep. But if you incorporated judo throws into Modern Arnis, that's not what Remy did. But that doesn't mean, I mean, and this is the point. The art within your art isn't necessarily what Remy did. It shows you how his concepts can affect and improve other systems. But those expressions may not be what Remy was teaching. And what Ty is, and I have talked about multiple times, we want to train what Remy taught, Remyisms. We want to look in that. And then if we choose to blend, I still teach the art within your art. When I was in England, I talked about the two methodologies, and a guy came up to me and go, I don't have time to learn a whole system. I'm maintaining two systems right now with my Kempo and my Tai Chi. I like this art within your art thing. Can you help me out with my weapon training? Sure. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. But he's not going to be a true representation of Modern Arnis. But it's not that he doesn't have pieces of Modern Arnis, and he could actually share it with somebody. And on both sides of the equation, no one has all the system. I mean, first of all, Remy was still working on this. Now, today's show, we're going to talk about the art as we knew it. And we're not listing every single technique out. We're talking family groupings to give people a much better idea of what was in the art and things to look for if you don't have it. If you were the art within your art and you didn't get exposed to certain elements and you want more, here are the things that you should be looking for. But there's still miscellaneous techniques that may not be on our sheet. Like I said.
Yep.
So
there's a lot of Remyisms. A perfect example is Abanico double action. You don't see a lot of people doing that anymore, but that was a pure Remyism, and he had a lot of good applications for it.
And that I love doing that. And people used to, well, actually, one of the things that I used to consult people with teaching how to do it. I think it's amazing, but that's another story.
Yep.
So speaking of, okay, now listen to me closely, because someone is misquoting me on this, and they're also giving themselves way too much credit. I made the comment that I saw Remy. Well, I mean, I don't want to get in the numbers. Crazy amount of time I've seen Remy. And every time I saw Remy, I learned something new. So the comment I made was, here we go. I wonder what I missed. And this knucklehead goes, oh, I didn't miss anything because I'm Mr. Super Person. Okay. You weren't there for all the lessons. So there's plenty of things. Matter of fact, you didn't even know left versus right tappy tappy. That was taught by, could that have been me? Maybe. Definitely your classmates. It wasn't taught to you by Remy, or you bought a video from somebody, or someone burnt you a copy and you self-taught it from there. But the thing here is, Remy had so much material, he didn't show everybody it. So I would love to know what he was showing elsewhere that I didn't get access to. So that's what the comment of what did I miss? I didn't miss stuff that was in my sphere of seeing. But if I didn't go to a seminar where he didn't show where he showed something new at that or unique to that seminar, I missed that opportunity.
Yeah, okay. No, actually I do some of that just to show, well, one, to be giving people stuff, and as well as to show that was an actual effect, because there's two drills I got from Remy. One is an old drill but done a different way, and then another one is a drill that he only showed at one seminar, a small seminar in Texas, as far as I know. And if I found it very useful, and I share it to people, and it's like, here's what I saw had Remy had us do, and here's what I know of it, and here's some insights that we got from it. You can use it. It's something extra from Remy for you. And now you have something more, and you can decide if it's useful or not, but at least now you have it.
I saw stuff. I would collect Remy techniques, and I went through some stuff, and he stopped teaching it. And I think the problem was that it worked for him and didn't work for others, right, or he didn't know how to teach. I think Tappy Tappy was the Sagita style Tappy Tappy from Balintawak. He taught us that in the 80s and stopped for a long time. He didn't bring it back to like the late 90s, mid to late 90s, because he wrapped his head on how to deliver it better. And I've done stuff like that. I have a problem with a piece of material. I could do it, but I couldn't communicate it. Put it on the shelf, brought it back, all of a sudden, boom, epiphany moment. All right, so Matt says hello. Thank you. All and right. Then Chris made some sticks for a Taekwondo guy who performed an amazing stick for a couple of tournaments ago. Stick kata, which I understand. Can we Can we one of you do the flips from capoeira? When you learn how to spell it, we'll learn how to do it.
There you go.
Yeah, we know form. Yep, form. Okay. American Campo family related moves. Okay. Boom. Art within your art is real. Yes, it is. And Tim, the camera looks blurry. Does it look blurry? Maybe it's lighting. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, my arm's killing me. We've had technical when we first started the show. For those who just joined us, everywhere we had it, it shut down. So I don't even know if it's going on both YouTube channels or not. So we had to go back, reshare, and all this other stuff. So we might have some more technical difficulties. So when we use terms today, realize that, how do I say this? We had a different nomenclature. We didn't have an established nomenclature. And some people learned something, and Remy didn't call things, gave it a name. And in my case, I gave as much techniques as a name to remember him as possible. Then later, he may have developed a name which was not what I used. You can make, wait. Yeah, funny.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, the names for stuff. It was very weird. He would sometimes just say, "I'd like to see you do that."
Yeah.
We had our own names too. In fact, actually, when I got back together with Tim, because we met each other in the '90s, we got back together and there was a little bit of collisions. Like we didn't know what each other were talking about it. So, but we had the conversation. We showed.
Once we did the material, we were fine.
Exactly. You show and do the material. It's the same.
So you guys may have seen this lock here. What does that look like to you with the elbow up?
Yep. So some people call that Sankyo, right?
No, but what would you call it? What would Remy call this?
Standing center lock.
Standing center lock. So you can do one hand, you can do two hands.
Right.
I saw a group, they called it batters up.
Batters up. Oh, okay.
I get the relationship.
Yep.
But if the technique was never named, they had to give it something. So there's a bunch of things that might not come through. Okay, so can you make them more? Okay, here's one for Rich there.
Rich just goes, both cameras look good. Tim's blue light and white hair could be an issue for some refresh rates. That's true. I have some internet in and out in my area, so it could also be a local feed issue for someone. Yep.
And then he said standing center.
That's right. Yep.
So, it could be a combination of that Remy didn't have terminology and people made up their own. People may have used terminology from their base art because they're doing art within your art. People could have not understood what Professor was saying because of the thick accent. People may have remembered it incorrectly. Remy could have been going nuts. So in a good way, because when Remy, if it was a big seminar, he got excited. He like speak in tongues at times. He was like the Tasmanian, and just be all over the place. I'm not going to spell that, by the way. That's hard. And then you are playing on Facebook and YouTube. Yep, thank you. So there's a lot of weird stuff that was going on with names and stuff. So today, I'm going to be using the terminology that we use primarily in our organization, which is in line with Remy, unless he gave a name after I created my own. You're live. Stop it. That's only because I'm doing shoes. No. All right. So let's get into the 4 categories that I like to present things in. Now, this was something that used to drive me crazy. So Remy preferred to speak in English. He used English terms.
Yep.
Us Filipino martial artists, us American, we prefer the Filipino terms. So a lot of times I would use things in generic situation and people say, you're not doing the art anymore because you're calling it this, that, they would hear me use a term that they've never heard of because they didn't do the research because they were art within your art karate guys and never think about doing any research.
Yep.
So I would use a term like, okay, so here are the 4 categories. And this is the example of what I'm talking about. So right here, what is Modern Arnis? So the 4 categories that I like to put them into is mano mano, dumag, años, and sandada. So mano mano is all your punching, kicking, striking type moves and trapping. Now, dumag is locks and controls. Now that's a generic term. I would say 90% of Remy's material was definitely Japanese influence. What do you think about that, Ty?
There was of the Dumont stuff. Yeah.
Anyos are the forms, and Sandata is our weapon training.
Huh?
So these are the categories that we put things into. And a lot of people focus on the stick, but forget about the other. That's the problem with when you do the art within your art methodology. Remy may not have shown them how to punch kick, but I mean, listen, if I pay Remy $2,000 to teach me something, I don't want him to teach me how to do a reverse punch or a front kick if that's what I do.
Right.
You know?
Well, and people should know too, Sandata, Remy didn't use that term, but it's handy and it focuses on the right thing. So,
and it means weapon. So it's the weapon department. And all of this material cross-pollinates. Yep. You will do all of these elements in the other elements.
Yep.
So let's get the first panel here. I'm going to bring this up. Mano. So our mano section, real simple. Punches, kicks, knees, elbows. Trapping hands, and mostly Decadina. Sinwali. Okay, so now here's where there's a crossover. Sinwali empty hand applications or seizing. So you had the single Sinwali drill, and then Remy would also do. So he would do a seizing drill from there, but then he would also do off of all the Sinwalis.
Yep.
He would do applications of those movements, open hand. Then he did Sinwali boxing, and then here's the other one that cross pollinates. You have form applications, which are more open hand techniques in a lot of cases. Anything you want to talk about while we're in there?
Let's see. Sorry, something popped up. Okay, here we are. No, I think it's useful to point out. I think you already did, which is look. If you already came with punches, kicks, and knees and elbows, he didn't spend a lot of time on those, but he had those, and he showed you his way of doing them, which is a great connection into Kuntao, for example, and Sikuran and things like that. But we'll get to that later.
But it's important to list these on curriculum sheets so people understand that this is a standalone martial system.
Yep.
Now I said, well, I never saw these things. If you did the forms, you deconstruct the forms and this material's in there. And I didn't list all the punches and kicks. Like if we're talking about the basic kicks, front kick, back kick, side kick. He's hit me with round kick. He's done the oblique. The crescent is in one of the inward crescent kicks in there. Open hand techniques. You got inward elbows, upward elbows, downward elbows, back elbows, which now not all that's in forms, but these are things that would come out. You would do jab, cross, hook, uppercut. You had all the boxing moves in there. And then you had like the reverse punches and four fists that you'd see in karate, knife hand chop, knife hand blocks, all that stuff that if you deconstruct the forms, there's a whole lot of stuff. But a lot of times I don't look at punching and kicking as a technique. I look at it as your fundamentals.
Yep.
But we want to bring this up here. And then other things. If you looked, we have guntings, back fists, all this material is in our material. I had someone when I did some of the limb destructions, they're like, Randy was like, well, you're not doing Modern Arnis anymore. Why? Because you're doing limb destructions. Right. And then I showed them the application of Agno Dello, the opening moves of limb destruction.
Right. Well, when you do Crosata empty hand, you've got options for gunting and limb destruction, all those things.
The Crosata flow drill is nothing but guntings.
Yep.
But of course, person never did a deep dive. He didn't know what he didn't know because, well, he was a doctor and then he traded and then may have been a thief, which is another story, but that's another thing here. But when you look at all this stuff, this is someone who did martial arts as a part-time and didn't do the deep dive, and Arnis wasn't his primary art.
So this is a very deep section, but this is the concepts that were part of it, I guess, is the point here, is one of the pieces.
All right, so let's go back here. That's while we're up here. See if there's it. Haven't heard of Sandata before. And that's so, and here's the thing. This is the thing. Most Modern Arnis people do not interact with the Filipino martial art industry. They're karate guys and do Arnis when they have some free time. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
They may have what free time? What?
Well, when it comes to their martial arts, they do their primary system. When they have martial art free time, the Arnis is when they do that.
So for some people, yeah. Or we've all lamented the days when we were going through camps, and the last time they worked on it was last year's camp. But it happened. Yeah. It was better than not doing anything at all.
When was the last time you picked up a stick? A year ago at camp. And you're testing, really? Okay, whatever. So, so having been interacting in the FMA community, it gave me opportunity to delve into deeper nomenclature and talk to people. Say, all right, what do you call this? What do you call that? What do you call this? What do you call that? And Joe says he's going to use that now, and all it means is weapons there. So, whenever I have fought an FMA guy, it feels like mano when you're done. And Renee, I got nothing for you, Renee. I got nothing. I can't see anything. So, oh, here we go. I'm not sure why that popped up. Okay, well then that's why. Okay. Then what do you got? What do you got here? I can't see. It seems like American Kempo and Taekwondo are the most organized when it comes to listing and how they want it.
Well, I don't know. You can make that style thing. So we've got a giant list of things that we do. This is just remember we're having groups of material right up here right now.
I have a very established written curriculum for multiple programs. So, Parker's Kempo is a hard one to match. I'll give you that. That's amazing. But take that off the table. I'll match our stuff. Well, or any of the Parker Kempo derivatives. I'll match our curriculum with anyone else, as well as it being defined inside the World Modern Arnis Alliance. Others, I can't say the same thing for. Kempo Joe, that's what Kaju's saying. And Kaju, okay. Let me see here. I want to skip that. What's this one here?
Just now realized the real reason why Datu Tim Hartman refused to take on the Grandmaster titles because his hair is too damn long. Right, because he's not bald, I guess.
Well, to be honest with you, I've been promoted to Grandmaster by Ernesto Presas. I do use it in my flyers, but to me, Datu is actually, I think Datu trumps more things because there were so few of us, and now in Modern Arnis, you got a whole bunch of people as recognized as Grandmasters, honorary stuff, but whatever. Then, hey, that's the problem. Yet when you mention Kempo, Guida shows up. Hey, are you in class tomorrow, Mr. Guida? I think that's funny. I agree regarding Kempo and terminology. Yep. Okay. So let's go to our next panel. Our next panel is Dumag. Now, this one is fairly well defined. Once again, I did not go into all the techniques. This is like the core and some little extra something. But I mean, you can still find variants that didn't call. And I also didn't say every variation of every technique. There's multiple ways to do armbar. There's multiple ways. So right here, if you look at our core material, in my opinion, we have the arm bars, the center locks, plural, backwards throw, single lock, standing center lock, which we talked about, side-by-side throw, finger locks, whole bunch of those, thumb lock, which is the handle, not the actual lock. It's more of a wrist lock. Walk away, mobility throw, spinning backwards throw, squat lock, which I was a big fan of, but now that I'm old and my knees don't work the same way, it's a young man's technique. Not to mention the lock flow drill, which some people call the dance of pain, which I hated that because I hate slang. I like technical names.
Right. You pointed out the armbar, lots of ways to do it. So some of you that train professor remember like the compressed elbow. You'll remember
compressed elbow. For those who don't know it, it's a one-handed armbar.
Right. The hanging lock, right? Or
another armbar.
Right. Exactly.
And then not to mention all the locks that are derived from doing stick maneuvers that don't make the list here because it can only be done with the stick being used in it.
Or the backwards throw that you do by wrapping your arm all the way through their elbow and you grab their stomach or their throat.
Oh, yeah.
Stomach elbow lock. I call it stomach elbow. The palm forearm lock, which is really just another standing center lock, except it's lying down, right? And it's against your forearm. But anyway, we got all those. And Remy went through all of those effortlessly.
Oh my God!
And made up new ones too.
And blend all of this stuff with all the previous stuff.
Yep.
And all the following stuff. All right. Boom. And here we go.
So this was more of a list compared to the last one, which was not a list.
Right. Okay. Here we go. This is definitely more of a defined list. And Kaju says the Datu is the most pimped title. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Guido will be there unless the creek rises. Call him Rob. And then, sorry, Tim, I thought I was being funny. No, that's okay. Don't worry, dude, don't sweat it. And then Dance of Pain was a Wally J term, and
That could be,
a lot of guys cross pollinated. So
that could be, yeah. I never did the big three stuff.
yeah.
I just concentrated on Remy.
So once again, we use the term Dumog for locking and control. That's the generic term. I'm teaching a Filipino martial art. It's not exclusively Filipino. I would say the bulk of what I do is not traditional Dumog, but I'm not going to say in the middle of my Philippine terms, we're doing jiu-jitsu. I mean, I explain it from a historical point of view, but I say, hey, let's do our jiu-jitsu. Oh, you guys do jiu-jitsu? Yeah,
Well,
sort of, you know.
And then that brings in the floor pins, right? Which was a very, very, very basic,
Oh,
bare
so much
bones,
there.
pre BJJ, but it was still informative and interesting if you didn't have that stuff.
There we go.
And it's a study of movement beyond that.
So, and then we go forward. The next section is the años, the forms. And it's called año. I put an S. Hopefully that's proper. Plural, año. Año is form. So on the left, años 1 through 8.
Yep.
On the right, now here's the thing. This is me kicking in. This is a me thing.
Right.
There were 4 stick forms, but they didn't say the word baston in front of it.
Right.
It just said año. So you'd say on the left, you do año isa.
Cane.
And you do año isa.
Yep.
And then on the right, you do año isa stick form 1.
Right.
But stick form 1 wasn't in the name, and it would confuse the hell out. I mean, I didn't like it. So in my nomenclature, whatever the weapon is, because I do the forms numbered, and I have staff form 1, staff form 2, staff form 3. I've got a sword form 1, 2, and 3. I don't have names. I don't make up this stuff, because if I had a much better control of the Tagalog or any of the Filipino languages, I would probably make up a name for or give my forms names. And the forms are, I didn't make these forms up. Okay. Right. I may have modified them here and there, but for me, what I tell my students, I go, all right, we're doing años. Okay, everyone, sabat año isa, which spear form 1. Okay, so everyone knows to grab a staff or a spear. All right, itak año isa. Oh, grab a short sword. Right. Da año isa, da, D-H-A, long sword, form 1. Or I say año isa, nothing. We're just doing open hands. Right. So these Modern Arnis had 12 forms. The 4 stick were taught in the Philippines. The open hand forms were all, to my knowledge, were all developed here in the States.
And even though it wasn't on the test for a base curriculum, he would encourage you to do, one, we did the forms left-handed. We did them with different weapons, like you said. And he would love to see that you worked on that, because he'd love seeing you put your work in on it. But yes, Matt, you back with the end with the tilde is what that is. But that's Spanish. They do not have that in Tagalog. So that is not actually what you would use. It's A-N-Y-O, año. Subatomic instead of bangtao. What? Oh, sibat instead of bangkao. Sibat is spear. But that's Joe Rebello's question. I can't bring up the question. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I mean, sometimes the Spanish will leak in, and you'll even see some Spanish in Filipino words on purpose, and it's not spelled right. Or sometimes it is spelled right, even though they don't have things like C's or tilde N's and things like that. But anyway, I'm getting all academically distracted here. Sorry. But yeah, so you would explore the años. I remember showing him some double stick versions of the single stick forms. I remember showing him staff version. He said, keep doing that. So of course I did. My staff version is different than Tim's. But that exploration was a useful teaching experience.
And my staff form has nothing to do with Modern Arnis.
That's true too. Yes.
So we did staff work. We do staff work based on the Modern Arnis concepts. Mm-hmm. And people said, hey, well, do we have a form? I go, no, but I can get a form. And actually, the very first form we do, I made myself, but it's more of an eye pattern, more like Taikyoku drill, where it's just to get the basics going. And then, but my staff forms have nothing to do with our art. Yep. I use it as for skill development and familiarization of that weapon. If I find something, I'm definitely going to bring it in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I would like to have an official Filipino form, but I don't know if they actually have such a thing. So let's do this here. Compression, hyperextension, twisting locks. Did I miss something? Okay, here we
Well,
go.
actually, it reminds me of the finger locks too. We left that off the list. There's a ton of finger locks, twin finger,
Wait a minute.
index finger, stuff like that. Anyway, let's see.
I didn't leave it off. Well, no.
Yeah,
They're
the
there.
thumb lock. Yeah, the thumb lock. Oh,
The
finger
finger.
lock.
No, I have finger and thumb locks.
Yeah,
No, we didn't
there's
leave
like
it off the list. We just didn't define them all.
Right. Gotcha. All right, I got distracted. Anyway, so what does Matt say? It'd be awesome to see and experience your Modern Arnis again at GM Dominic's dojo. Yeah, Dominic's
We'll
great.
do that. Boom. Matt. The N should have a Spanish squiggly. The N plus is what N?
For Año. I already covered that.
Um,
I covered that. That's Spanish, and they don't have
That's
that.
Spanish. Yeah, we're not doing Spanish. And actually, isn't Años fist or is it year?
Año in Spanish is year. Yeah,
Year. That's it. Okay.
with the tilde. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Joe Rabella. Okay.
So he was saying to use Sibat instead of Bancao for
Oh, Sibat.
spear.
Yeah. Sibat. Okay. Yeah.
Sibat is yeah.
Sabat and Bancao both mean spear. I looked them up. As far as I can tell, Cebuano as well as Tagalog, it's the same.
Yeah, so in Cebuano, you can use either term. In Tagalog, it's Sibat.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give credit here. The first person I saw using that was Kelly Warden. He used the term Sabat.
Yep.
So I figured he knew what he was talking about. So I used that term. When out in Negros, I think they use the Bancao more than anything else. Because I know Ernesto would always talk about that, not the Sabat.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you use Sabat instead of Bancao for spear, yeah. And I didn't know that it was spear. Everyone said it was staff.
Right.
Until they hung out with Carlos Pantalinghug, and they came out with the spear, and then they had spear tips on all their staves, and they got them from Cold Steel before the test was done. I had ordered my batch, and they were already shipping to Buffalo.
Right.
Or they was processing my order. So I'd love to explore more weapons, explore other weapons, and anyone. Sounds amazing. Okay, Años, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, not a problem. Well,
there's a ton of work for staff.
Darren, are you going to come to instructors camp? Remember, because you attended the spring camp, you got a $75 discount off the instructors camp next month. Okay, here we go. Hey, what did Tim think about Master? Oh, it was a good time. We had he did a great workshop for us. And then I want weapons rematch, your spear versus my sword. Okay. Well, so Chris, shortly before that tournament, I had 100 cc's of fluid drained from my knee. Just the other week, I had another 80 cc's drained out. So it looks like I have the orthopedist thinks I have a torn meniscus. But I will take you up on that. It won't be this weekend, but it will be fun because, brother, I love going on the mats and having fun and having a reason to train hard. And with my brother Chris there, it's all good, all good.
There you go.
And then maybe I'll hit somebody with another spinning back kick. I don't care if it's a forms division. I'm hitting somebody with a spinning back.
There you go.
Okay. What was this here? That was forms. That was Dumog Foundations.
Well, on the earlier page, that was Foundation Dumog.
Yeah, that was the family grouping. Yeah.
Yep. Dexter.
Okay, Dexter Tapato is the closest thing. I mean, it is a fighting staff. It's just or
like Joe, some versions of Joe.
Yeah. So I've met a Tapato guy. It looked like a Samoan, but he was Filipino. I mean, he was like big, and it was just hammering straight down. It was a 4 to 5 foot staff. They were just a swing came in, you'd smash in and just go for the hands and everything. So it's definitely Joe-ish, maybe even staffish.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's just I'll be. Oh, great! Darren will be at the instructors camp. That's what I like to hear.
Good deal, Darren.
Yes. No excuses. Yep, none whatsoever. But if I get DQ'd for spin kicking the referee, I'm going to just blame it on you.
There you go.
In the forms division. Okay, keep the fluid and water balloons. Okay, there we go. What we got here, Tim? Good gorilla duct tape. Yep.
Shoulder. Yep.
Listen, I'm a huge advocate of
Staples.
duct tape. I get the Canadian Tylenol with the codeine in it, and a shot of Jack Daniels in any particular order, but definitely a combination, and it goes a long way. There we go. Here we go. I teach.
Tabak tayok.
Is that the nunchuck?
Tabak tayok. Yeah, I don't know what the other ones are.
And I do nunchuck as well.
Yep.
But once again, my nunchuck is not Filipino. I love it for skill development for the kids and coordination. It's amazing. They actually know what they're doing. On your knee, of course. And then Tapado is the Filipino version of Kendo with rattan.
So again, like Joe.
yeah, very similar.
Right.
Oh, what do we got here? Kurt, rubber chicken salute.
Oh, nice, good.
How you doing, brother man? All
right. Yeah, so that's the Anyos, right?
Okay. Talis, how you doing?
Hey, Talis.
He's testing for his black belt with us shortly.
That's gonna be awesome.
Hey, Kurt, let me know if there's. Okay, you're in Alaska. You're not in Canada. If there's any FMA gatherings up there, let us know because we'd like to promote. And who knows? I'm always looking for a road trip.
Yep.
All right, so here's the big section. This is the trademark of what we do. This is what everyone comes to Filipino martial arts for. And it's the beginning of the sandata, beginning of it, multiple sheets. So the first thing we start off with, remember a lot of the stuff we've done, foundational work from the get-go. We what we didn't put in there on earlier stuff, when we talk about striking, there'd be corresponding blocks.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about locks and throws, we would talk about corresponding break falls. Same thing with this. Here's the angles of attack and the corresponding blocks, which there was multiple ways to block. Professor would show us a unbraced block, one-handed, a braced block, a reinforced block, and then a two-handed block or dos manos block. Dos manos is me just using the term. He never called it that. It was just, once again, most of the time, everything was in English.
Yep.
We would do the angles of attack with control, which we'd stop, and then we do follow through. And then from there, you'd learn the blocks. And then, of course, we'd go right into block check counter. And then obstruction removal was what if someone blocked your block? And then we'd go to the next level.
Some people know that as slap off or whatever you guys, whoever you calls what. Yep.
Yeah. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. They block that shot. I slap off. I hit again.
Yep.
Okay. So from there, we go into, and once again, we don't have every little thing in here. Right. There's a bunch of miscellaneous things that we just didn't put on the list. So Ty, why don't you take this?
Striking styles. That's, to me, that core, right? Once you have the block check counter and you're following it up, you use the striking styles. And so you can intermix them. But the whole idea was to flow and choose targets. So with your figure eights, after you block check counter, manage your targets, manage your opponent while you do those. Bandi banda, rompida. Bandi banda is side to side. Rompida is the vertical version of that. So now you've got a plus when you do bandi banda. That's the horizontal. When you got the rompida, it's painting, right? So I'm turning my hand over, right? I think everybody knows that. Abanico, lots of different flavors of that. Abanico, we already talked about corto, largo. We got parada. We got double action. Two types of double action. Yeah. You got up down, or what we called it is taas baba, which is literally up down. And that's where you don't turn the stick up and over. So you've got to manage where your contacts are, or maybe you're just going down and you're getting ready to do something, and maybe you hook it or you stab or whatever. Striking styles are great. That's where all the good basics are.
Now, we didn't, and you said a very important thing. This is the follow-up to the block check counter.
Yep.
This is, or if I'm talking to you Kempe guys out there, it's your extensions. But here's something we talk about over here. On disarming, we talk stick on stick, the traditional 12, the applying the disarms to multiple angles of attack, doing that number one disarm off of a number 3, doing the backhand, the number 2 snake off of a number 1 or an overhead. And then hand versus stick, that goes the same back here for block check counter.
Yep.
We would do this as well as the obstruction removal unarmed against an armed opponent.
Yep.
So, all right, then let's get into this. This is our last thing.
Oh, on the last slide, though, we got to answer. Renee's got a question.
All right, I was going to pull that up.
Oh, okay.
So Renee has a question about the angles of attack. I think I have a chart.
There's
So
a chart, but you could also just say, hey, it's the Blintwalk 12, but in a different order, and
yeah,
that's
but he
the
wouldn't know the
easiest way to describe
Blintwalk.
it. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
So
fine.
the Modern 12 and the Blintwalk 12 are the same, with one exception. 1 and 2 are the same.
Mhm.
So all the angles in Modern and Blintwalk are taught in pairs, with the exception of the overhead head and the belly thrust, the two centerline attacks. So in Modern, well, so if you do the Blintwalk angles, well, yeah, I think
Three
I
and
have a
four, yeah, 3 and 4 are swapped, and a couple others are swapped,
Yeah.
but they're all the same angles, just maybe it's different order a couple times. Remembering that Remy was left-handed, and he wanted different setups, so he did that.
Yeah. Well, I think I also just made it better. I mean, just better teaching platform, because the angles of attack were not. The angles of attack being a certain order weren't relevant in our system. We could have easily started with 12 and ended with 1.
Yep.
It wouldn't have changed anything.
Yep.
Just like the alphabet. If you take the alphabet, someone said A was first and Z is last.
Right.
If you change the alphabetical order, the only thing it changes is the song.
Right. Well, and it's like us. So what do? We actually have, for teaching delivery, we have a different 12. It's the same 12, but a different order.
Yeah. Okay. I know someone makes.
Really
I know
nice.
someone who makes nunchucks. Go figure.
There you go.
Okay,
that's
all
what those
names
were.
for.
Very
Oh,
good.
okay. Very good. Very good.
Thanks, Joe.
And then, what are your 12? We're going to pull that up if I can.
Yep.
Will do. I have something in the works. I normally go to Seattle for FMA thing like Bobby. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
Nice.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take us to the last panel, and then I'm going to look for that chart.
All right, good.
Oh, then I'm going to bring this up here. Here we go.
Kyushinru Fed. My teacher, the late GM Gubatan, told me Tapado was created by Mamar. He was small in stature and felt easier to use two hands. He was training in Iaido probably, and later was known for his two-handed stick. Okay, interesting. Okay, very nice. Thank you. And it will look great in the blue light. Nice. So you're gonna dig those up. You want me to start on this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I got my DNA thing, but different.
All right. So here we got some more on the weapons work. Sandata, remember, just weapons, and it's WMA term. It's a Filipino term. It just groups it all under weapons, so it's handy. Cruzado flow drill, single, double weapons, empty hand. We already talked about that, which just sets up the crossing, so one hand can guide into the attack or whatever. Knife, single weapon, single cane, double cane, lots of good stuff there. Carenza, he did do twirling. He would even have us do it. He didn't necessarily teach it a lot at camps and stuff like that, but it certainly was there. You can find an old nice video of him twirling and flowing, or whatever you want to call it, doing his carenza. It's a little bit fuzzy, but it's good to see him doing that. Sombrada, this is in a lot of styles, but we use as a delivery or a training mechanism within Modern, and so it became core in the sense that it was very useful in working the material.
So for those who weren't familiar with that term, so sombrada is a very common term for the technique.
Yep.
Remy would just call it 6-count drill, but he also did a thrusting option, which makes it a 10-count drill.
Right, and we called that the box drill. But yeah, it's for the old numbers, the 6-count drill was a 3 and an 8 and a 12, and then the block check counter in between each of those.
Okay,
and it's trades back and forth. And then Tapi. Oh, that's a long story, right? The initial trading and flow, the cane semi sparring was all early on. I'll let Tim talk more about that. But Tapi in later years in the 90s ended up being a basic right versus right, and that started with abecedario, in other words, feeding the strikes. But then there's a give and take and a setup that looks very reminiscent of Blintwalk without the stepping. And then the intermediate level, you have some left versus right, and there was a lot of setups, a lot of options, but he usually taught them in short two-man forms, if you want to talk about it that way, or in terms of groupings, or whatever term you want to use. But the whole point, because I talked to him about this, he wanted us to be able to do them free flow.
Okay, so let's break it down real quick on this. So the original originally it was called Solobastan semi-sparring, and what was reserved as Tappy is actually the advanced. We're going to get into that in a minute.
Yep.
So Tappy or what we'll say, the original solo baston before he combined it all underneath one category, was the single Sinwali pattern done with a single stick, the high five, low five, high five, low five. So one stick would do all 4 strikes. So then we go into a butting, we'd enter in, we do a combative enter, and someone counters, and you get in this puño butting back and forth. Not to be confused with puño sombrado drills, because it's not that.
Right.
But we're doing, it would be closer related to puño hubud, but it's still not quite the same. It would probably look, if you do a hubud, you'd probably think it's closer to that.
Right.
Then eventually Remy had this epiphany, because he did left-handed against right all the way back to the 70s. That we've seen footage on, but it wasn't predetermined material. Then around 92, 93, Remy came out with his whole stuff left on right, and what he did is he combined everything under the term tappy tappy. Now so the left versus right single Sinwali material, where there was locks and controls in it, you break out and keep going. Then the advanced thing was the Seguidis of Balintwalk done. So there's the original 12 angles of attack. You'd strike and come back in numerical order. Seguidis was the random feed. Remy did that, but he didn't use the footwork. And they break back out into single Sinwali into the solo baston. He would never do he would never do tappy tappy without doing the solo baston. So eventually one day he decided, I think he saw the advantages of using Filipino terms, that people really actually wanted that kind of stuff. And instead of calling it solo baston semi-sparring, he called it all tappy tappy. But there was a transitional period that people got messed up with, because the group of us that were around long enough remembers the original names and what they actually meant before it became this, and it's just like at work. You're from this A department, this person's from B department, this person from C department. All right, we're just combining all the departments under one umbrella. There's a little organizational confusion at the beginning, and eventually we worked it out.
Well, and the semi-sparring is important to bring up, because sometimes people refer to tappy tappy as sparring, and it is not.
Not.
Even if you do full, well, as random as people get, it's still not sparring. It's play.
That would be like, okay, go ahead.
It's play, and it's good, and you should do that, and you should challenge each other. Totally agree. It's totally different than free-form sparring.
Well, that would be like saying, here we go, trapping hands, hubud, sombrada drill.
Or sparring.
Balintwalk groupings. Okay. And even the free play in Balintwalk is sparring, because it's still not sparring, because you're doing controlled stuff versus hitting each other upside the head with a helmet. I mean, sparring is you put gear on and beat the crap out of each other, which we're going to talk about that, because our Canadian rep just became a full dog in the Dog Brothers, and we'll be talking more about this. So we actually have a Modern Arnis black belt who's a freaking Dog Brother. How badass is that?
Yep.
You heard it first here.
On these Sandata lists, or maybe it's on the next page, I noticed there's one thing's family contribution that's not on these 2 pages. Maybe it's on page.
Oh, we forgot. Did we miss Police?
Can't miss Police. If you're doing Modern Arnis and you're not doing Police, it's going to be tough to tell me to do Modern Arnis.
I did this really quick in between teaching today, so forgive me for that. So Police is what Modern Arnis was based off of, the family system.
Yep.
Okay, so but you know what? I'm going to sit there and say,
but it was in everything: empty hand weapons, everything.
Yeah. All right, so let me get these comments caught up. You're going to read. I'll click on them if you read them, and then I've got the chart for Renee.
Okay. And then we'll go back to we still have one more slide too, right?
No, that was it.
Oh wait, what?
That was the 7th slide.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw another one.
Let me double check this. Okay, okay. Well, let's go here. I'll go back.
You're right. You're right. Yep. All right. So yeah, Police was not.
Okay. We're gonna show that in a minute. Let's do it right now.
Yep.
So these are the Modern Arnis original angles of attack. Let me get this off. Now the 2 at the top. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not the original. That's my angles of attack. All right. These are the original angles of attack. It's not the order they were done in.
Right.
So let's talk about this. This is for learning, but it's the same thing. So this is angle 1 right here. This was angle 2. This was angle 3. This was angle 4. Now, what we do for learning, we do all the strikes first now. So 5 is here, 6, and then 7. And then we do the thrusts. Straight thrust to the belly, forehand thrust to the shoulder, backhand thrust to the shoulder. Now, these are linear attacks. Then these top 2 are hooking thrusts to the temple or actually anywhere on the body you'd like. In modern, proper, original, Remy's modern original. In Remy's original angles of attack, 1, 2, 3, 4 were the same. The poke to the belly would be 5. The poke to the shoulder was 6. 7 was the other shoulder. Then it was the backhand to the knee, 8. Forehand to the knee, 9. And then 10 and 11 would have been these pokes up here, which were generally taught as eye thrust. But if you did them follow through, they would come through and hit the side of the body. And we did that at the Michigan summer camp.
Like a Sunkiti.
Right. And actually, I was talking to Ray Tungsten. The Sunkiti is Sunkiti.
I get you. Yeah. I usually call straight pokes to soak, but yeah.
Yeah. And then 12 was straight down.
Yep.
Now with Balintawak, they're all the same, except 3 and 4, the waist attacks were reversed. This would be the 3 over here, and this would be the 4.
Yep.
And then all the rest were swapped.
Yep.
So, but it doesn't matter because the angles are still the angles. It's just in a different. I did it this way. It has changed the delivery. And actually, all I really do now is at the beginning, I just teach the first 8. I do all the strikes and then the first thrust. I let them get their head around that because it's less to count.
They get it in a minute.
High, middle, low, forehand and backhand.
Yep.
Then hit him in the head, whack-a-mole, and poke him in the belly. Pillsbury Doughboy for those who are old enough to make those references.
Very handy. Yep.
It is huge, but once again, this is the method I choose. We're not saying the others don't. That this is. I'm putting a video out to come out the new Modern Arnis angles of attack, and people are going to complain when I put it out there. But I'm going to say, listen, it's clickbaity. Listen, the angles are still the angles. This is a better teaching way. Do it whatever way you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But I want to share this because I want to help us as a community get better at what we do.
Sure.
So
we got comments and stuff. Did you get through?
Did we do the 2? Did we do this one already?
We did that one, yes. Thank you. And
demo. So there we go. Hopefully that covers that, Renee. Looks great with the blue light. Tapados is to finish.
Nice.
Tabata with your car. You can Tapados with your car. Oh, hit him with the stick and then run him over. Got it.
There you go.
Whether that's what you meant.
Tapad. Yeah, tapad.
Okay, and then here we go. Yeah, which we just talked about that. Then hi.
And now we know who this is, John Savage.
Oh, we like John Savage.
Oh, we love John Savage, and we'll see him
dude.
In October, beginning of October.
Yes. I had to think about it for a moment.
I know, because of the months.
Like what? And then Nathan Porter.
Nice, Nathan. Hey.
Oh, he's Superman, man. Hey, Nathan, have you been on American Ninja Warrior? Because if not, I think he would do backflips in between all that stuff because he is. Have you ever seen him over at Terry's do his stuff?
No. Well,
I've freaking amazing. Yes. Freaking amazing.
I think I was just mad because I was jealous because my stupid hip.
Well, that's it. You hate to love him, but you.
Yep, I remember now.
He's oh my God, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yep.
And for some reason, he talks to us. What's wrong with that? We'll take it, but okay. And then here we go. Just interesting similarity. Yeah, Cool. All right.
Most of them were the same. There was one sequence I learned. It was 13 count, and the last one was an upward strike to the groin, an upward hit on one of the systems I learned. But yeah.
Okay. Good to see 12.
60
compared to 60.
Nice.
Yeah. Listen, to me, it's a forehand. It's a backhand. It's a thrust. It's an overhead. You're just adapting to high, middle, or low.
Yep.
Really, we don't care.
But it does help. Like, remember we talked about why the low ones are there because the responses are somewhat different because of the leverages.
So when you don't even have to do the leg shots.
Nope.
But my whole point was with that is I'm going to keep them because the defenses are different, significantly different. So let's here and since we're talking about this, let's share one more thing because I happen to have it.
Sharing good.
Oh, I'm gonna get rid of this. I'll get rid of that later. Boom. Here we go. So this is modern
There you
on
go.
the.
On the
Okay, it's on the right. So here we go. Look,
Right.
if you're looking at this chart, there is no difference until you look closely.
With the numbers, right?
Yeah.
The left is Blintwalk and the right is modern.
So modern, this is number 3. Blintwalk, this is number 3, if you can see that.
Yep.
All right. And then we poke the belly in both. Then we go forehand poke to the shoulder. That's a 6 in modern, but in Blintwalk, it's a 7 because the 6 is over here in Blintwalk, which is the 7. So the rest of the angles are flip-flopped.
You were about to say folk, weren't you?
You will folk them.
You were saying that. I heard you. Yeah.
So there we go. And Darren says it's an excellent show. Damn it, we got to write him another check.
Well, I'll get you a mead when you're up at the instructor camp.
Oh, dude, yeah, the meadery's awesome. So, boom. Or 3 anyway. Next one out. I'm not sure about that.
Pretty much that same way. Okay.
Nathan is the equalizer 4. There we go.
Or 3.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Or 3.
And then Renee.
It's
pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I tell you what. So, I went up. He hosted Arlen Sanford for a phenomenal Krabi Krabong seminar. It was great because the cool thing was, it was the same stuff, but the energy was completely different, and that's what I liked about it. It was like he didn't do anything we weren't doing,
right?
Except attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a driving forward, going in, and we were using sticks. Well, I had these synthetic swords. They're like 3-footers. Boom, 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 boom.
But that's actually a very good point, right? Every time I played with other FMA folks, having done modern with Remy in depth as much as I could, right? Committed. There was nothing other styles to do that I couldn't do. Not saying great, and not saying that I knew it right off the bat, but the point is I could adapt easy because Remy gave you all those tools.
We talked about this weekend, and so first of all, with the seminar, this was amazing. Arlen was great, and the cool thing was every time he'd go around and come over to Craig and I, every single time. It was like, and we kept talking about. I'm like, I never had these questions before. I go, how many master level instructors would be humble enough to attend your seminar?
Right.
Okay. Got you. So of course, I'm a professional martial educator. I'm looking for bits and pieces to help me become better. I'm going to ask him from all different angles that he probably never heard of before. And he was such a great guy. Phenomenal at that seminar. Okay, sharing is caring. Yes.
As long as it's not Karen.
Yeah, not Karen. We don't want a Karen.
I heard that guy's horrible. He's like hated.
Yeah. Does he have nice hair like mine? Oh, wait a minute. That's me. Okay. Excellent show. Thank you, Renee. Darren.
Mm-hmm. Kicking the cat chakra. There you go. any chakra. I'll take any.
Chakra. Okay. Attitude makes everything better. Yep. So, here's the thing. We talked about this weekend. I don't think Modern Arnis is generic movement. I think it's a universal type thing where
I like that.
Yep. Remy took he is a Filipino Jeet Kune Do, and he made everything work. So even if he took something, let's say he took something from Dulce Paras and another thing from Pikiti Tershi and another thing from Lightning Scientific and all this, which I'm not sure where he put. I'm just pulling systems off the top of my head. I know our system affected other arts because during the FMA Talk podcasts, the audio ones that Mark and Federico used to do, all these guys who had their own systems, it was crazy the quantity of them that traded with Remy at one time or another. So we know it thing. So, but I found that Modern Arnis, I may not have done that sequence, but Remy taught us how to look at movement, and it was easy for me to break material down and relate it to something I was already doing. Boom. So here we go. Love Krabi Krabong. Attitude is everything better. Ty's got his little what's this for?
Oh, because somebody said attitude makes everything better. So I thought I'd link to my attitudes discussion about performance.
Nice. And then here we go. He later asked me about
who's that white hair dude?
Who's that white hair dude?
Nice.
No idea, Arlen. He's friends with Greg.
Nice. Sounds fun. I really would love to get up to one of those, or
Yeah.
even beat the crap, or anything.
Yeah. So, there's so much stuff, the 00 striking and all this
Yep.
other stuff. And then, and then like, okay, so
Florete.
you would learn how to hit with both ends. You'd learn how to poke with both ends. Like, so you'd puño instead of strike. So if I'm too close to doing, so let's say I'm doing block check counter and I was going to do a backhand strike, our number 4 to their head, and they got too close. I do a number 4 puño.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. So I mean, we specifically decided to go for puños instead. So a lot of this stuff is just cool all the way around. I got a message from Mr. Darren on my software, so I got to look at him and see if he probably needs a link or something. But I'll look at that. But with everything said and done, I mean, there's so much to the art, and the thing here is you don't need a lot. With all the stuff we gave you, endless possibilities. Okay, Ty's a super genius. Okay, he's the smart one. I'm the caveman. Here we go. Don't tell Tim. Don't tell me, okay? Just don't tell me. Don't tell me. But what I would... Ty is pretty smart when it comes to math, okay? What did... what would you say? Well, what did we do our math thing yesterday on permutations of how many ways you can do something of ours on Modern Arnis thing?
No, we've done that with Sinawales. We've done that with
No, but you can't, when I asked you what that number means, you said it was billions and billions.
Oh yeah, it was a factorial, so it was like 43 factorial, something like that. Anyway, 10 to the 47th or something like that. It was ridiculous. Essentially infinity ways that they could be put together. Yeah.
And that wasn't even everything.
Yeah.
So typically when stick fighting an FMA guy, I find myself with puño envy. But now I take meds for that. Oh my goodness. What a crowd. What a crew we have here.
Almost got me started on what Remy wanted for puño, but I stopped myself.
2 fingers. If it's a modern guy and is holding a normal stick with more puño than this, here we go.
Yep.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
If it's like this, if it's a fist worth, they definitely don't know what they're doing. Unless they did a disarm and it was an interim position, but
I got beaten up by Remy a lot for if it wasn't exactly that little. In fact, so much so I started edging it towards the lower end, and it worked well. Anyway, my first video actually was about puño.
Yep.
For Modern Arnis.
Unlike, I mean, listen, Remy didn't like big butts.
Yeah, that's right.
Sir Mix-a-Lot would not be, the song wasn't there. All right, so
but this is an overview of what is in the system of Modern Arnis, and the talking was to the link that we can't just do in that list.
And this list is the
first layer,
the more popular stuff that Remy would do.
Yep.
There's still stuff. I know there's gonna be people that say, "Well, Remy showed me this and it didn't make the list."
Right.
Well, I forgot to put police on the list. Okay,
which we actually discussed that. It just didn't make it on in the translation.
Yeah, I did a quick copy and paste from one of my documents, and that was the one thing that wasn't on the sheet that I was looking at. But I was trying to get everything done today. So
that and police is in everything. So actually,
yeah,
it's. But yeah, that's the family base, the center, the core of where he started from.
So so this is the Marshall system. Now, there are people who teach it on both sides of the fence. Art within your art, as well as... Okay, so listen. We know that the art within your art people most likely don't have the entire... And I want to say the entire system, because no one has the entire system.
Right.
But once again, enough of the system to do it as a standalone might be a better word to do it. Or maybe they've trained it, but they choose not to teach it. That's, when I have students that want to do the art within your art, I definitely teach them differently than the ones who want to do the whole art. And a lot of times people come in, they go like, "Hey, dude, I like this," and they eventually go the other route. But
And all of that's good for Modern Arnis writ large, which was Remy's vision too. So that's great.
it's painful but fun art.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and the art within your art people are no less important than the people who do it as a standalone system, as the martial system, because we need as many troops out there spreading the word. The point that we have to make is that we want to focus on what Remy taught. That's what we like to do. And as long as people who are teaching the art within the art can discern the difference, I mean, let's put it this way. Ty's teacher was Eric Alexander. In 1991, I went out to Cromwell, Connecticut, and taught him a seminar. He was surrounded by people. Hell, next town over was Sifu Lowry. He was in the videos. Richard Roy was like an hour or two away. He was in Massachusetts. All right. And I asked him when I was out there at the house, I go, of all the people that you have to choose from, why me? I'm 6 hours away. These guys are around the corner. And the thing was, listen, Tim, you're the only guy teaching it by itself. I have no problem with these guys. They're great martial artists. They're all good. But I've talked to several of them, and their mindset is I'm blending as much as my primary art in the system as possible. That's my expression. And it's like, that's fine. So the reason why he didn't have them is because they didn't offer classes in just what Remy taught. And that's how I got to Eric, and that's how Eric ended up going. Not how, but then that's the material that Eric went and taught Ty, and lo and behold, how things work out. We're all one big, happy, dysfunctional family over here.
That's right. That's why I always had a curriculum from the get-go. An actual written belt for belted curriculum, in addition to, of course, the curriculum approach that we talked about earlier. Yep.
Hey, Datu, what do you think of Dan and Rich and I enjoyed it?
Oh, the talk show, the FMA discussion with Dan and Rich. That went pretty well.
Okay, catch you later, Renee.
All right, take care, Renee.
I would have liked to have been able to ask comments because, by the way, Ty tan looks great on you. Okay.
There we go. How we do, there we go.
Okay. So, I would have liked to ask questions. Dan kept talking about this grocery list of material. I disagreed with him. And when I made comments, he ignored it. He didn't respond to them. I think Rich on the show was phenomenal. And, I know Kelly and I were making comments. So, I would have liked to them address what I asked specifically and get the point. So one of the things was he kept saying that Remy had a shopping list and not a written curriculum. I'll say this: Remy didn't have a belt-to-belt curriculum, but neither did any of the people who brought the martial arts back from Asia when they were deployed in the military. They did their own things, and like we were talking with Brock the other day, who was at the club for the Pontotocan course. He said in this Okinawan Kempo that he does, there are a bunch of people that go through the stuff what they brought back, and the forms are taught in different orders and different stuff like that. But people put their own curriculum together. But here's the deal: Remy had 3 books at the time. The most important one was the pink book, the stick fighting, the Philippine Modern Arnis, the Philippine art of stick fighting. We all refer to it as a pink book. That was a great book. That was a phenomenal book. Had a lot of drawings in there, newspaper clipping, the sports martial arts rules. So when people say that Remy didn't like tournaments, that's funny. He put the rules of competition in the book. I just don't think he liked the Americans doing it because most Americans didn't commit to doing Filipino martial arts. And if you took a karate or taekwondo guy or fill in the blank who did Arnis as a weekend warrior, for lack of a better term, went to a Filipino martial arts tournament, that would not end well. So I don't think he always encouraged me because my guys could fight. I don't think he discouraged people. I just don't think he encouraged them. But you take that book and then you take the original 5 videos, which became the 6 videos shot out of Delaware. you've got all the curriculum, and it can be done as a modular with the videos. You look at this modular training program, because what do we do today? Okay, so you know what? Today, people are not doing linear curriculum the way they used to. They're doing modular programs. So you have all the stuff, and then you have the test that you're studying for. And if this is a education, martial arts is education.
Mhm.
We know in high school and in college, you take courses, and a lot of them, and Ty and I talked about this yesterday before I drove home, that a lot of times that they give you a suggested order, but not all the courses have to be done in that particular order. Would you, since you're in more academia than I am, could you comment on that? And
Yeah,
how it
no.
relates to what we're talking about?
Right. Well, there's some things obviously have prerequisites, right? You got to take this course before you can build on that and go to the next course, which fits in what in martial arts as well. But there's other things you can take out of order, and it doesn't really matter. And so that happened in college a lot, right? Even especially it happens much more in grad school. But anyway, there's a little bit of a choose your own adventure there, as long as you meet the requirements, and the requirements were there. That was the overarching. We talked about the black belt test and all these other. The 3 books, the 5 videos, and what was in Remy's head, because he's not going to let you pass unless you met his standards for you.
Now, here's the challenge with that. I did a search today on what the equivalent of the dollars of the videos were. So
No.
the videos were $60 back then.
Wow.
That's the equivalent of $170 today.
Yep.
Per video.
Yep.
And I had them all, and I had originals. And it changed over the time. I don't know when I had them exactly, but back when I started, minimum wage was like $3.50 an hour.
Yeah, it's almost.
And then these videos were $60.
Yeah, almost a factor of 3. It's crazy.
So but the material was out there, and you could easily, if you bought all those videos and practiced the videos in any order you wanted, it would give you all the things you needed to pass the black belt test.
Mm-hmm.
So. And written syllabus versus curriculum. I mean, how do you define curriculum, sir?
Curriculum is a mapped out set of requirements for whatever the goals are, whether it's black belt or individual belts or whatever. But it's the list of, it's the body of work, right, that it takes to get there.
And we knew what that was.
Yep.
Camp test it wouldn't change. Per se, things would be added to it.
Well, there was that one push at the end.
Right. But still, that didn't go through.
It didn't go through, and I'm glad.
So what he's talking about is I remember Randy Shea, who was the chairman of the board, reached out to me one day. We're talking. He goes, "Hey, Tim, there is there's people want to talk about changing the test." I go, "Really? Well, okay. Love to hear your feedback." Okay, all right. Well, what's the question? We're thinking about writing a test that only addresses the things that are covered at camp.
At that camp.
At that camp. I go,
right.
What do you think about that, Tim? Oh, I think that's a terrible idea. What do you mean? I go, several of the camps were done at different lengths of time.
Yep.
So if you were doing it at a hotel, you may only do a 3-day versus a 4-day camp. And that first day may or may not be a full day, or people do. And sometimes, okay, I hate using this one. I hate using the forms as a definition, but professor may not have the forms being taught. Now, first of all, what if professor didn't teach the forms? And I say, well, first of all, I'd say, what's the real question? I would say, what if we didn't have time to go over the forms? I would say whatever professor didn't teach, but we already knew that I was going to teach the forms if I was there. So what if we didn't have enough time for a forms thing? We would skip the forms? Well, yeah. Okay. And what if Remy has a new body of work? I mean, I guarantee you. So right now, at the end of Remy's passing, Tappy Tappy was huge. I guarantee you that it would have backed away from the training, because as people became more familiar with the new material, he'd reproportion time for other things to do. It wouldn't be all Tappy Tappy. And the problem here is many of the students, or the Remy students, focused on Tappy Tappy and forgot all their fundamentals. Mike and Techie, he's in the military, one of my guys. He moved to Philadelphia. It was the Philadelphia camp that Remy showed up to, but wasn't coherent because medication, the brain tumor was operated on, and he also got pneumonia during the trip. A lot of things that were going on, and then not to mention the jet lag. So Mike was asked to sit on the board. He saw the tappy, which he hadn't seen before because he trained in a different era and work was keeping him away. He goes, oh my God, I felt like giving my belt back.
Mm.
And then it came time to do the fundamentals. And then I'm like, okay, that changes everything. Then he looked at then he remembered what he looked at. And he goes, you know what? That material wasn't all that, those people weren't all that good. They flowed very well. But their techniques, their fundamentals weren't good. Like, so here's the thing: tappy. We talk. It's based off of single Sinwali. What's single Sinwali? It's a handful of the angles of attack. If a drill is a mixing bowl, and if your ingredients are poor, so is the product.
Mhm.
So okay, a drill builds skills. These guys could flow very well, but their techniques sucked because they didn't work their fundamentals. So we went back and forth on this, and I just said, no, I think it's a terrible idea. Because then what you're saying is people are going to get the perception that the art is smaller than it actually is.
Mhm.
Now, had we had a written curriculum belt to belt, which I did, but some people didn't like the fact that, well, I would say, hey, you should use this. And I had a bunch of people who used my curriculum, and I was in negotiations with Remy about writing the curriculum for the organization as long as I had a byline on it. That's the only thing I wanted. You know, I mean, hell, I wrote the black belt test, or I wrote the camp test, so that would be an easy one. You know,
Mhm.
I just wanted to have a little credit on there when it came to that, so people. So here I write it and say, well, that's not right. I'm like, dude, I wrote the test. Stop it. You know, but at the end of the day, that just watered down the system if you do things like that. But if we had an overall list that everyone had access to, then I wouldn't mind a shorter list. Hey, but still,
I was always lamenting that people already didn't practice enough between the camps, and that would just give another excuse. Oh, it wasn't in this camp, so I don't have to worry about whether it's on the test or not, and so I don't have to practice as much because I'll be reviewed during camp. That's BS in my book.
I talked to somebody. Go, well, they were telling me, she was like, hey, you know, she's talking about all this stuff. I go, well, what about trapping hands? Yeah, we don't even do trapping hands anymore. I go, we do. Example. You exactly. Don't.
Yep.
But are you too lazy to practice? What? I'm asking you, are you too lazy to practice? Are you that dumb to think that the system just got rid of material because we didn't have time to go over it?
Yeah. So as soon as I heard that was like, I was very glad that didn't pass.
So let's go back to the very beginning of today's conversation. Well, no, not the very beginning, because the very beginning was about the technical difficulties.
Right. We can skip that.
Okay. Modern Arnis has been my life since I was like 21. 86 is when I became an instructor. That became my profession. It has been my life for decades. I take it very seriously. When I hear people make these willy-nilly comments of this nature, like I said, I made sacrifices. I don't have kids. I've got a nice home now, but I had to work very hard to do it. But here's the thing. I don't get paid leave. I don't get sick time. I don't get any of that stuff. I got to do everything here for my future. And it's all Modern Arnis. So when people try to tell me what Modern Arnis is, when they do it as weekend warriors or part-timers, because they have other jobs like law enforcement, military, corrections, video producers. Maybe they own a karate school, but they're worried about their karate. Maybe they're chefs. Maybe they're this. Maybe they're that. Don't know. Don't give a damn. They're not doing this as their life. I take it very personal. It doesn't mean they don't know things, because that's not what I'm saying. But when people make comments of this nature, it really, really irks me, and I get very emotional about it. Okay, there's my second attempt at the first round. Okay. I have nothing left except for talk about what next week we're doing. Do you have anything you want to share, sir?
I don't. I just want to I guess, reiterate the whole thing of whatever you're doing with Modern Arnis. 1, thank you. 2, keep doing it, and it's important. And 3, if explore it, make it, work it, use it, flesh it out as much as you want to, and that only makes everybody better. But I will encourage people, when you're doing that, please point out what that material is working on, because the you might take it for granted that you know where it came from, but if it's in what you're doing, it might be easily missed by those that are getting those neat glimpses. And I think it does Remy's art justice when you remind them of that. It also does your focus and your understanding justice, and it just helps everything going forward, no matter what approach. Where on the spectrum of doing it's slightly in what you're doing, it's more in what you're doing, it's the art within your art, it's something in between. Hey, it's a full standalone, a whole system from even standing and walking and punching. That whole thing, it all needs to be done. It's all great. Keep on doing that, but let's at least always refer back to Modern Arnis for Remy's art for that whole system.
That who gets emotional.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, for those who remember the Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk, David Banner.
Yep.
You wouldn't like me when I'm mad.
Yeah, that's right. That was a great show. Horribly great show. Yep.
Drill build skills, and it's not a skill if you can't do it outside the dojo. Okay.
Well, yeah. Actually, he just set me up for my other, not rant, but important.
Okay.
Here's my quote, and you guys can quote me on this. Got it? Ready? If you don't challenge what you do, you won't do it when you're challenged.
Boom! Shakalaka. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. It's a good one. Okay, so my comment on this is, once again, remember, I get emotional. And listen, if I've offended people because of how passionate I am, I'm sorry, but it's who I am. And I think this weekend with Ty and I talking, we were able to figure out some ways to address certain things. And we talked about the two schools of thought. Last week was the art within your art, where Modern Arnis is part of what you do, but it's not the core of what you do. Today is Modern Arnis as a martial system, a standalone program. We talked about all the things that are in there. Now here's the question: did you learn it that way? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to answer that question right now. I'll be the first one to answer. I go, that's exactly how I learned it. Mm-hmm. I had Remy teach seminars at the Filipino Karate Academy, where John Bryant owned it. We would do block, double, reverse punch. Block, double, reverse punch. You know who had me do that? Remy. He also would show us other applications of stuff of that nature. We were doing punching, kicking, all the time, trapping, all the time. It wasn't just something we did once in a great while. We were constantly going through the forms and then breaking them down. We weren't necessarily doing applications at the time because my instructor didn't have the bunkai like that, but he did break the elements down, and we were working the elements. So we worked our punches, we worked our kicks, we worked our whatever the element was, we were working it. We didn't do any resistance training, so we weren't hitting bags or focus mitts. I think that would have really helped us back then. And obviously, I'm a big advocate about that. So whether you do the art within your art, as it's part of what you're doing, and you're only taking part of the art to do that, or you're doing as a standalone system of martial arts, everyone is important to the big picture. We're all part of the family. Some are related closer to, some of us are related closer to each other than others. All right. And both sides of that equation don't have the entire picture. Once again, why I've always said, and you know, I'll take the shot at Mr. Anderson for making the comment. I made the comment of I saw all this stuff. I arguably saw Remy more than anybody else. And I kept learning new things, which made me wonder what I missed. I didn't miss in his teachings. I knew what I saw. I was wondering what he didn't teach when I wasn't around. That was the comment. But of course, someone read the script and decided to Dan read the script and decided to misquote me. So because, he got everything. Well, if he got everything, how come he didn't do left and right tappy tappy? How come there are a lot of things that you didn't know that we had to show you when you joined our organization?
If you were with Remy all the time, you didn't see everything Remy did, because we already talked about he tailored things, he adapted,
Okay. So whether you're doing part of the art or the art is a standalone, we're all still in the family and we're all still important. The thing here is we all need to promote the brand of Modern Arnis. We just got to understand what side of the equation we're on, because when we represent it to students, we need to be able to properly discern to them, this is an innovation that I came up with or someone else came up with, or this is a blend that Remy wouldn't have done because he didn't have this martial training, but it shows you how his martial concepts can be applied to a whole bunch of other things and can improve things. Or what's the material that Remy did? Because for me, I want to see what Remy did. I'm very interested to see what you could do with the art on your own, what you've come up with. And hell, who knows? It might end up in my repertoire.
like Remy would do.
Like Remy would do. But we still, if we want the art to move forward, we need to make sure that we can take that material.
Actually, there was one other piece I wanted to get. Sorry, we got 2 seconds left, right?
We got more.
So the thing within the system, he would make periodic references to the things he put into the system and how he got there, like Palis, like Kuntao, like Sikaran, like his karate, like his judo, like anything else that he stole, including I even heard Bluntwalk mentioned a couple times. You certainly heard more than that, but those connections were set by Remy, and I think that's important to at least call out here in the system. The system has roots, and those were part of the system in a sense. They were already talked about, and those seeds were planted, and that'll come up in a later conversation.
Remy's synthesis is what we're looking for.
Yep.
And then from there, like, once again, it's like all the shows. We need the untainted DNA so we can keep going. What happens when we don't have the original DNA anymore?
Yep.
So, all right. Datu offensive? Never. It's because your passion that drives us to seek you to learn. I'll seek you out to learn. Thank you, sir. La Familia and haters are going to hate Datu. Yeah, they are. No, that's okay. I don't care. I got a thick skin. Remy told me a long time ago, Tim, the better you do, the louder the dogs will bark. The dog pound is barking very loud. Must be doing something right. Well, listen, I don't think we have anything else to say about this show. Do you?
I got nothing.
Okay. Next week, August 28th. And then the week after, we're taking a break because that's Labor Day weekend. But August 28th is the 22nd anniversary of our teacher, the late Grandmaster Remy Amador Presas' passing. We talked about how he was such a jet setter running around and not spending much time anywhere. We talk about him as the martial arts, but we don't talk about him as the man. So next week's show, I've got the two of us. I've got Rich Parsons agreed to be part of it, providing there was not last-minute scheduling issues. I've also invited somebody else who I'm going to check up on. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to promise something I cannot deliver. Under promise, over deliver. That's what we do. We almost didn't deliver at all today with the technical difficulties. Hopefully that'll all work out.
I think people enjoyed the roll up of the system. I think that worked out really well.
And that's it. So hopefully, like I said, and those who are reading the transcript instead of watching the show, make sure you listen to the show before you start quoting us, because at the end of the day, written words are a lot of time they're taken out of context.
Yep.
Or if you're going to take it out of context and purpose,
there's the nonverbal pieces, the nonverbal communications, the tones, et cetera, et cetera.
And if you're going to do that, well, you know where to put it. So,
I mean, people are really good, just in general. I'm not even picking on a person, but what we've become, and Facebook has shown us this. If people want to get offended, they certainly can do that. They're really good at that.
They're phenomenal at that.
Amazing.
All right. Well, listen, as always, this is a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Even with the technical difficulty, we still had good viewership. Good. We made it work. I don't know how, but we made it work. And we got some events coming up we'll talk more about. We have to solidify some things out your way in October. We're going to be in Salem, Massachusetts. It's the week after our instructor camp, which is the last weekend in in September. Prior to the weekend prior to that, like the 23rd, I'm going to be at the Renaissance Martial Arts Festival. It's confirmed. I'll be teaching on the Saturday, which is a really good event. And then, of course, I'm going backwards. Like the weekend of the 15th, I will be at the Gathering in Sacramento. I get to return to Sacramento, back where it was.
Nice.
With Bruce Chutnick. Looking forward to that. Plus, I'm teaching at Rancho Cordova Martial Arts the night before that. And there might be some other events happening at the last minute.
Nice.
All right, everybody, as always. Oh, do you have anything?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of, I'm teaching next weekend in Pennsylvania, right? Next weekend at the family gathering in Pennsylvania with the barbecue. You should see that on the webpage. I'm teaching that same weekend. He's teaching Renaissance Martial Arts Festival. I'll be teaching as well at the annual event that Sean Ritchie hosts. My event for fall FMA Fling, I finally got a date. Look out for the flyer info and the Facebook event. It'll be 11th of November, Saturday, and it's on Veterans Day, which we're gonna make sure there's donations that are going through the Wounded Warrior Project yet again. So I'm supporting that for the second time this year.
Do you have a link that people can make donations on as well?
I do right now for that old push-up challenge, but I wanted to talk to the WP people first to see if they wanted to do something special for this event. Otherwise, I'll use a Facebook fundraiser.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah. And now, okay, and everybody, I'm getting the old man kidneys, which is why I always zip off. So when I was taking off, it wasn't because I was trying to cut him off. I just didn't want to have an accident because, well, I don't wear Depends.
That's right. But there's the police academy as well.
Yes. Like unfortunately, that's a closed event.
Yep. But there's those 4 weekends in a row. I'm teaching 5 times, I think.
Dude, boom.
Creepy. Yep.
Remy would be proud.
Yeah, and it's on my seminar list that I post here on Facebook and on my website. So Tim's got a list where he posts and he keeps update all the things that he's doing. Mine is not as option, but at least I have one big place where you can go to. So.
Well, I also need some of that stuff you need to send me so I can put it up.
Yep, I will make a flyer soon.
So when you get a chance, everybody, look at this here. Just about to show something. When you get a chance, go to our website. But maybe this second is not the time to do it because I have looks like I have a plugin issue with broken link. I get broken images all the time. That's the only problem with the company I use because, I use WordPress, which is a really good platform. Unfortunately, I use Divi, and there's always some kind of minor little glitch that has to be done.
I was just going to say that's what you get for using Windows. I'm over here on Linux. I'm a happy camper.
Well, I know one of the things that I have to do is I have to update my license on my events.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the issue I'm dealing with right now. I'm not doing an events thing that allows me to sell. Okay, it's good. So if you go to worldmodernarnis.com or wmarnis.com. Oh, wow. That did everything black out. Here we go. Here's the website. We just started a thing. Okay, so here's the event on the calling, a write-up. I started a new thing, a feature. We're going to be doing, like, usually once a week, a featured instructor, or once every other week, one of the two. Right now, the first one up there was Professor Talas from Rio de Janeiro.
Nice.
Did an article on him. I've got a few things. Modern Arnis, more than just an art within your art. The new chapter of Modern Arnis, focusing on future generations. And we have our events down here. But more importantly, the event page, and this is not, this is a friendly dig at Ty. But, Ty's schedule has been all crazy. Things are going to change. I'm just going to say that and leave it at that.
I should be less grumpy.
When I'm given the information, I put a lot more things. Now, currently, right now, the Ontario training camp, the Northern Ontario one, that is the only, and then, that's the only one up there right now that I'm not part of that's listed. But last weekend, we had three events the same weekend, or not this past one, the weekend before. I was teaching in England. Sam was teaching in Ohio. Ty was teaching in Maryland, was it?
Yes, Maryland. Yep.
All three of us, all three events were listed on the website. If someone's event isn't up there, that's one of our members, probably because they didn't send it to me.
Right.
That's it. So, but there are some events that I will not put up because of party lines of the people that have been very disrespectful for me, and I will not support their event. But I do not discourage our members going to events. It's just I personally don't do stuff. So I will certain people I will not list their events on my page.
So wait, are you saying even if you have personal things, you don't make them institutional?
Any kind of boycott that happens, it's a Tim Hartman only.
That's the way to be.
Okay. Listen, it's no secret that Kelly Warden and I have not always seen eye to eye. But I've never gotten in the way of any of my people, mine not being members of the organization, going up support. Chad Doolin goes up there regularly. The one time with Chad went PG Craig. So the two PGs went up there together. Hey, how did it go? Let me know what you think. If you got some good ideas, if he does something not technique wise, but like, hey, he does this cookout here, you might want to think about something like that. I'm always curious. And listen, we don't have to we didn't always, I don't want to say we don't like each other. We don't always get along, Usually the family loves each other. They just don't always like each other.
Well, and just so people don't get twisted, I think you guys are getting along perfect, or just fine right now.
Yeah.
It was good to have him on the show a while back.
And I'm looking, hopefully, to get him back on the show. I've got some interesting people coming up on the show, and I'm hoping to add him to the list again because he was great on the show.
Yep.
And would love to continue doing that. So, we've had people from non-modern or non-WMA organizations part of what we're doing here. So, part of our events. So, our show. It's just about promoting Modern Arnis. That's it. We're promoting Modern Arnis. And everyone's got a different piece of the puzzle, whether it be technique, history, personal stories, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So listen, next week is going to be all about Remy Presas, the man, not the martial artist. We might relate to some of the things he would do at the seminars and stuff, and so people can know where we're coming from on things, but that's where we're at. And that's going to be on the 22nd anniversary of his passing. It happens to coincide with the Monday night show. And I was thinking about what's going on? I looked at my calendar. I'm like, well, how do we do that and not talk about him? And personal stories. I think this is going to be,
No, I think that'll be good. Yeah. I'm hoping the other people or persons are some of the ones I'm thinking.
Yeah, actually, it's one. So I was only inviting one other person. There's another. Well, we'll talk off the air. There is one other person I think about, but it takes a while to get a response to the person, so it may not be done in time. So, but all right. Well, listen. As always, everybody, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Dr. Tim.
Pidgey. Thanks everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all soon.